Ever tried to get rid of snow from your house? The Inuit did the opposite. They brought snow inside their igloos for some seriously clever purposes. These 7 surprising ways they used snow inside their igloos prove they knew exactly how to make the cold work for them. The first brilliant way the Inuit used indoor snow might surprise you. They turned it into the world's first refrigerator. Inside a traditional igloo, Inuit families would create what might be history's most efficient food preservation system. Inside a traditional igloo, Inuit families would create snow piles in specific corners of their snow houses. The same people who invented ice fishing probably weren't too excited about fishing through their floor for dinner. These snow piles maintained a consistent temperature around 25 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit, kept meat from spoiling while still allowing it to be cut without waiting hours for it to thaw. It's like nature's version of the defrost button, except it actually works when you need it to. The science behind this is fascinating. Snow contains countless tiny air pockets that act as natural insulation. The R value of packed snow ranges between R-1 and R-2 per inch, which is impressive considering some modern insulation materials only achieve R3.5 per inch. Families would bury different foods at different depths in these indoor snow piles, creating what was essentially a primitive form of temperature zoning. It's like having different refrigerator drawers, except instead of a vegetable crisper, you just had the slightly less frozen part. Traditional knowledge included understanding exactly how to pack this snow for optimal food preservation. Too loose, and it wouldn't stay cold enough. Too tight, and it would become ice. It's basically the Goldilocks principle of snowpacking. Not too fluffy, not too solid, but just right. While our kids are learning to use smartphones, these kids are mastering the ancient art of not starving to death. Slightly different skill sets. During harsh weather, when hunting was impossible, a well-maintained igloo could store enough properly preserved food to last a family for weeks. While we panic when our freezer breaks down for a day, these folks were like, just grab another armful of snow from outside and we're good for another month. The next time you complain about having to defrost your freezer, remember that in an igloo, a little bit of strategic snow placement meant the difference between feast and famine. And unlike our modern refrigerators, it never made that annoying humming sound that wakes you up at 3 a.m. And speaking of sounds, snow inside an igloo wasn't just good for keeping food fresh. Have you ever worried about attracting unwanted attention in the wilderness? In the Arctic, this wasn't just about nosy neighbors, it was about staying hidden from dangerous predators. Snow inside igloos provided a crucial safety feature: natural soundproofing. While we worry about our neighbors hearing our terrible singing in the shower, the Inuit worried about their terrible singing attracting 1,000 pounds of hungry polar bear. The Inuit discovered that snow is nature's perfect sound barrier. Each snowflake creates tiny air pockets that trap sound vibrations, preventing them from traveling. When packed together, snow can absorb up to 90% of sound waves. It's like Mother Nature's version of expensive recording studio foam, except it also keeps hungry polar bears from hearing your dinner preparations. Inside igloos, families created small snow mounds along the walls that significantly improved acoustic properties. Fresh snow can absorb up to 60 decibels of sound, the difference between a normal conversation and a vacuum cleaner. This meant that even excited children or crying babies couldn't be heard from outside, keeping the family hidden from predators with keen hearing. In the Arctic wilderness, polar bears can detect sounds from over a mile away, and wolves have hearing approximately 16 times more sensitive than humans. The sound dampening provided by interior snow was often the difference between safety and a dangerous encounter when large predators prowled nearby. That's right, snow wasn't just keeping your igloo cozy, it was also keeping you off the local predator's delivery menu. This sound-trapping feature was particularly important during hunting season preparations. Sharpening tools, discussing hunting plans, and preparing equipment could all attract unwanted attention from the very animals being hunted. The snow-enhanced soundproofing allowed these activities to proceed without broadcasting the family's location or intentions to every predator in the area. Imagine planning a surprise party where the guest of honor is a seal, and the uninvited guests who might crash your party have razor-sharp teeth and no table manners. Perfect when you don't want a hungry bear to hear your late-night snacking or your plans to hunt his cousin tomorrow. Leaders could discuss hunting strategies without concern that the sound would travel beyond the igloo walls, creating a secure planning room that kept both information and people safe from the dangerous wildlife outside. And while we marvel at this natural soundproofing, snow inside igloos served many more purposes beyond keeping predators unaware. The versatility of snow extends to solving all kinds of practical problems we'll explore next. Let's talk about something we rarely discuss in polite company: bathroom arrangements in extreme conditions. In traditional igloos, the Inuit developed an ingenious solution using what they had plenty of: snow. Designated areas inside igloos were set aside as what we might call a snow sink. These weren't fancy affairs, just carefully prepared depressions filled with loose snow to handle small amounts of waste when venturing outside wasn't practical or safe. The science behind these snow sinks is impressive. Snow has remarkable absorption properties. A single cup of fluffy snow can absorb nearly a quarter cup of liquid before becoming saturated. The air spaces between snow crystals create a structure similar to a sponge. It's nature's ShamWow, minus the annoying infomercial guy. Even more remarkable was snow's ability to minimize odors. At sub-freezing temperatures, the biological processes that create unpleasant smells slow down dramatically. Studies show snow can reduce detectable smells by up to 80% compared to the same substances at room temperature. These snow sinks became essential during blizzards when temperatures could drop to minus 40 degrees and winds could reach 60 miles per hour. Going outside for a bathroom break during those conditions? Talk about freezing your assets off. The indoor snow sink provided a practical solution that didn't require risking frostbite on particularly sensitive body parts. One ingenious aspect of these snow sinks was their temporary nature. Once used, the snow could be easily removed and discarded far from the living area. Fresh snow would then replace it, creating a clean, odor-free system that generated zero lasting waste. It's like a toilet that takes itself out, a feature modern plumbers haven't quite figured out yet. The Inuit understood sanitation long before germ theory became widely accepted. The snow sink was typically placed in a specific corner of the igloo, away from food preparation areas. Often, a small snow wall would separate this area from the main living space, providing a rudimentary form of bathroom privacy. The world's first half bath, minus the fancy guest towels nobody's allowed to use. For some inland communities, these snow sinks even served an unexpected purpose. In regions where water was scarce during winter months, the yellow snow from urine could be separated and used as a cleaning agent. Urine contains ammonia, which acts as a natural disinfectant. The clear snow underneath could be melted and filtered for other uses. Nothing went to waste except the waste itself. The snow sink also solved another problem: conservation of bodily heat. When temperatures dropped to life-threatening levels, every trip outside meant losing precious warmth that took hours to rebuild. Research shows that exposure to extreme cold for even 5 minutes can lower body temperature by several degrees, making the indoor snow sink potentially life-saving. This practical wisdom of using snow's natural properties showcases how thoroughly the Inuit understood their environment. They transformed what could have been a serious health hazard into a sustainable system using only what nature provided. And that's not all. Snow had even more surprising uses that made the difference between comfort and hardship in the harsh Arctic environment. Water is life. In the Arctic, this creates a strange paradox. Surrounded by frozen water, yet still at risk of deadly dehydration. It's like dying of thirst while sitting on a mountain of popsicles. The Inuit mastered a crucial survival technique, using indoor snow as an emergency water source. But their approach wasn't as obvious as you might think. When thirsty, your first instinct might be to grab a handful of snow and eat it. That's actually a dangerous mistake. Eating snow directly lowers your core body temperature, forcing your body to waste precious energy warming it up. Studies have found that consuming 1 pound of frozen snow requires about 150 calories of body heat to melt and warm it. That's like doing 50 jumping jacks just to enjoy a glass of ice water, except the stakes are slightly higher than getting winded at the gym. Instead, Inuit families would bring snow inside the igloo and allow it to slowly melt using ambient heat from cooking fires, oil lamps, or even body heat. This gradual melting process preserved precious body heat while providing essential drinking water. Mother Nature's slow drip coffee maker minus the coffee, and the fancy barista telling you about their screenplay. The Inuit were selective about which snow to bring inside. Fresh snow was preferred because it contains fewer impurities than old, compacted snow. The Inuit language has dozens of words for snow and ice, each describing specific qualities that determined its best use. Meanwhile, we struggled to tell the difference between ice and lots of ice at the drive-thru. Not all snow was created equal in their eyes. Far from the aimless scooping we might imagine, there was a sophisticated understanding of different snow types. Snow with a particular crystal structure would be selected specifically for melting into drinking water. They had a more refined palate for frozen water than most people have for wine. Ah yes, this snowbank has notes of Arctic fox and a hint of northern lights. Children were taught to test snow quality before collecting it. By examining its color, texture, and even taste, they learned to identify the purest sources. Blue-tinted snow was avoided as it often contained minerals, while pure white, crystally snow was prized for its clean taste when melted. The water collection vessels themselves were fascinating pieces of engineering. Many were designed with broad, shallow tops to collect the maximum amount of radiant heat and narrow bottoms to preserve warmth once the snow melted. Some families used dark-colored containers that absorbed heat more efficiently. The importance of this indoor water source cannot be overstated. In blizzard conditions that could last for days, having a reliable way to stay hydrated without venturing outside was essential for survival. When the weatherman says, "Don't leave your house here," we order pizza. When the Arctic says, "Don't go outside," you either have a plan or you have a problem. As impressive as this water management system was, the Inuit found yet another creative use for snow inside their homes. You might think sleeping on snow would be the last thing anyone would want to do. After all, we've all heard the warnings about lying down in snow leading to hypothermia. Yet in the clever design of traditional igloos, snow wasn't just tolerated in sleeping areas. It was deliberately shaped and used as an essential component of the bed itself. Contrary to what you might expect, the Inuit didn't just toss some furs directly onto the igloo floor and call it a night. They created raised platforms made entirely of snow that served as bed frames. These snow platforms, called igloos in some Inuit dialects, were carefully built along the interior walls of the igloo, typically rising about 18 to 24 inches above the floor level. Why go to the trouble of building your bed higher when you're already tired from a day of Arctic survival? The science behind this practice is fascinating. Cold air sinks, meaning the temperature at floor level inside an igloo could be as much as 20 degrees colder than the air just 2 feet higher. By raising their sleeping platform, the Inuit positioned themselves in a warmer microclimate. It's like choosing between the bottom bunk and top bunk in summer camp, except instead of avoiding your snoring cousin, you're avoiding freezing to death. The platforms weren't just flat surfaces either. They were often shaped with a slight bowl-like depression in the center and raised edges. These contours helped keep sleeping furs in place and prevented sleepers from rolling off during the night. No need for guardrails when your bed comes with built-in snow bumpers, the original Sleep Number bed, except the only setting is frozen. But the real genius came in how these snow platforms were prepared for sleeping. First, a thin layer of branches or small twigs might be spread over the snow. This created a small insulating air gap and prevented body heat from melting the snow too quickly. Next came several layers of thick furs. Caribou was preferred because each hollow hair contains a tiny air pocket, creating exceptional insulation. Temperature control was remarkably sophisticated in these snow beds. If the sleeping platform became too cold, more furs could be added. If it was too warm, yes, that could happen even in an igloo, the top furs could be adjusted. In fact, a well-designed snow bed with proper furs could provide the equivalent of an R30 insulation value, better than many modern mattresses. Good luck finding that polar vortex comfort setting at your local mattress store. The elevated design solved another surprising problem: moisture control. Any melting that did occur would drain downward rather than collecting under the sleeper, which would happen on a flat surface. This seemingly simple feature prevented the dangerous situation of waking up damp in a freezing environment. The physics at work in these elevated snow beds is something modern campers now recognize. Contemporary winter camping guides recommend getting at least 4 inches off the ground when sleeping, as this dramatically reduces heat loss. The Inuit discovered this principle centuries ago and implemented it with the materials they had available. The shape of these snow platforms also helped support proper sleeping posture. The slight curve could accommodate the natural bend of the human spine, something many modern mattress companies spend millions trying to perfect. We pay thousands for ergonomic mattresses, while the Inuit just sculpted some snow and called it a day. Who's really the advanced civilization here? Family sleeping arrangements were thoughtfully designed as well. In larger igloos, the snow platform would run along multiple walls, with separate sections for different family members. Parents often slept closest to the entrance, acting as a buffer from the cold that might enter when the doorway was opened. For babies and young children, smaller, deeper depressions were formed in the snow platform and lined with extra soft furs. These natural cradles kept little ones secure and warm, even in temperatures that would make modern parents reach for another blanket. The elevated position also kept children away from drafts that circulated near the floor. Instead of checking the baby monitor app, Inuit parents just had to make sure little Junior wasn't turning blue. Simple parenting solutions. When travelers visited, the sleeping platforms could be easily expanded by packing more snow onto the existing structure. Unlike trying to find an extra bedroom in a modern home, igloo sleeping quarters could be modified in just minutes to accommodate guests. No need to apologize for the pull-out couch with the metal bar that hits right in the middle of your back. Just slap on some more snow and grab another sealskin. While modern mattress companies advertise their products with decades-long warranties, these carefully crafted snow beds had to be maintained daily. Each morning, any melted areas would be reshaped and repacked with fresh snow, ensuring the platform remained solid and comfortable for another night. Forget rotating your mattress every 6 months. These beds needed a renovation every morning, and you thought changing sheets was a hassle. From these ingenious sleeping platforms, the Inuit would rise to face their day, often turning to another surprising use for snow inside the igloo. Snow inside igloos served as an ideal crafting surface for making and repairing essential tools. These snow workbenches weren't just convenient, they were perfectly adapted to the unique challenges of Arctic crafting. Snow's malleability made it surprisingly suited for detailed work. A crafter could easily press depressions into a packed snow surface to hold small parts or tools. It's like those fancy tool organizers where everything has its own slot, except this version disappears when spring arrives. Hunters would push spears, arrows, or harpoon tips into blocks of snow to hold them steady while working on other components. This simple technique kept both hands free for the delicate work of binding, lashing, or carving. The white surface created contrast that made it easier to see tiny details, especially in the dim light of an oil lamp. Dropped items were quickly spotted against the snow instead of disappearing into dark corners. Snow also absorbed sound, making carving much quieter than working on hard surfaces like stone or ice. In the close quarters of an igloo during long winter nights, this reduced noise meant multiple people could work without creating a cacophony. Before noise-canceling headphones, there was noise-canceling furniture. These work surfaces weren't just flat tables. The Inuit created specialized shapes for different tasks. Rounded depressions held bowls, long grooves supported arrow shafts, and angled surfaces made it easier to apply downward pressure while carving. Perhaps the greatest advantage was adaptability. If a surface became dirty, a fresh layer of snow could be packed on top in seconds. If a different shape was needed, the snow could be quickly reshaped. Try doing that with your expensive workbench from the hardware store. As daylight returned after the long winter, the workshop areas would transform. Spring brought a different, equally important way that snow helped inside the igloo. The final surprising way snow was used inside igloos might be the most remarkable, as a medical treatment. Long before modern medicine figured out the benefits of cold therapy, the Inuit were using snow inside their homes to treat a variety of injuries and ailments. While today's doctors write prescriptions, Inuit healers just pointed to the nearest snowdrift and said, "Take 2 handfuls and call me in the morning." Snow compresses were regularly applied to wounds, sprains, and areas of inflammation. The cold temperature of snow causes blood vessels to constrict, which reduces blood flow to an injured area. This natural process, now known as vasoconstriction, effectively reduces swelling, numbs pain, and limits internal bleeding from injuries. What makes snow particularly effective as a medical treatment isn't just its temperature. Fresh snow has natural antiseptic properties due to its purity and cold. Before falling to the ground, snow crystals form high in the atmosphere where there are fewer contaminants. Properly collected snow is remarkably clean, in some ways purer than the drinking water available to many ancient civilizations. It's like nature's sterile gauze, except it melts if you leave it in the first aid kit too long. Inuit healers developed sophisticated techniques for applying snow to different types of injuries. For open wounds, a thin layer of clean snow might be packed around, but not directly on, the affected area to reduce inflammation without freezing the exposed tissue. For muscle strains or bruises, thicker snowpacks were applied directly to the skin for short periods, often alternating with warming to promote healing. Snow was particularly valuable for treating sprains and strains that might occur during hunting expeditions. A hunter who twisted an ankle miles from home could potentially still make it back if quick snow treatment prevented excessive swelling. In the harsh Arctic environment, such injuries could be life-threatening if mobility was lost, making this snow treatment not just a comfort measure, but a survival technique. The timing of these snow treatments was carefully controlled. Unlike modern ice packs that can safely remain on an injury for 15 to 20 minutes, snow is significantly colder and more likely to cause tissue damage if left too long. Inuit healers would typically apply snow for shorter periods, often just 5 to 10 minutes, before removing it to allow blood flow to return. Certain inflammatory conditions responded particularly well to snow therapy. Toothaches, headaches, and joint pain could all be temporarily relieved through strategic application of snow compresses to specific points on the face or body. Children were taught from an early age how to safely use snow to treat minor bumps and bruises. They also quickly learned that "I need snow therapy" was not a valid excuse to play in the snow instead of doing chores. The remarkable thing about this ancient cold therapy is how closely it aligns with modern medical understanding. The Inuit were effectively practicing 3 of these 4 principles centuries before modern medicine formalized them. If only they added a 4th step. Take a selfie with your injury for social media sympathy. They'd have completely predicted modern injury care. Through these 7 ingenious uses of snow inside their igloos, the Inuit demonstrated an unparalleled understanding of their environment. They didn't just survive in one of Earth's most challenging landscapes, they thrived by transforming what many would see as a problem into solutions for nearly every aspect of daily life.